Good afternoon, everybody. This is David Zavislin, and today we're going to do a brief webinar on AutoCAD 2009 data linking. And what we're going to look at is how to link tables in AutoCAD to Excel spreadsheets. A couple of business notes here. Last seminar I tried to take audio questions. It did not work very well. So if you have questions today, type them into the question panel on the GoToWebinar menu that you have or the screen that you have. Type them in. I probably won't answer them during the presentation, but I think today's session is short enough. I'll have plenty of time at the end. I will go through, read off the questions, and answer them for you. And that's what we did last webinar, and that seemed to work pretty well, as opposed to trying to do it with the audio. All right, so jumping into the presentation here, let me progress to the next slide. So again, like I said, the data link functionality in AutoCAD 2009 creates a dynamic link between an Excel spreadsheet and an AutoCAD table. And we'll look at how to set that up and some of the behavioral aspects of that in today's session. All right, I'm going to start off with the Excel spreadsheet portion first. A couple of things I found in playing with this and doing some different examples to get ready for the presentation, that there's some items we have to watch out for in our Excel spreadsheet. And the main things I'm going to talk about here are the formatting. You want to make sure you're using a font that is going to be compatible with AutoCAD if you want to include the Excel font in your AutoCAD drawing, and we'll see how that maybe not be the best behavior. We'll look at some of the merge cell functionality. So the more complex your table is, and the example I have here on the screen in the image there shows quite a bit of merge cells to create the headers for this table, and I can bring those in. It just does impact a bit of the performance. Other things you have to watch out for are going to be hidden columns, and if we look at my image here, it goes OPQ, and then the U, well, R, S, and T are hidden in this spreadsheet, but what happens is when I paste that, or not paste it, but merge it in and create a table from it, those hidden columns will show up. AutoCAD tables do not have a way to hide columns, so what you'd have to do in that case is I'd probably copy my spreadsheet to a new layout in my workbook and then delete the columns that I don't want to see and then have just the portion that I want to paste. So you kind of have to watch the hidden columns. And then the last item you need to be aware of is just the file size. And I've got a couple of files I want to look at here, so let me switch over here. And so that's the one we're looking at right now. So this is a file I actually got from Denver, and it's a control point spreadsheet listing all of the different point numbers and their section quarter and state plane coordinates, all this information. There's about row-wise, there's about 153 rows in the table, and one of the things we have to watch is I can't just paste or insert this whole sheet. I have to specify the range because we will get all the note information will also come across into the table, so you can have to watch any extra data that you have. But this table is 153 rows, and then columns, you can see we go all the way to AK, so it's about 30-some columns. It took my AutoCAD over 2 minutes for it to read and import this data into an AutoCAD table. Because of that and because of the size of this table, I'm not going to do this one during today's presentation because that's a lot of dead space for me to fill with conversation. So keep that in mind, that the larger the table, the longer it's going to take to do the pasting or the linking to the AutoCAD table. All right, let me look at, I've got another table here that I've created for today's presentation, and it's a real nice, simple, clean little table. I did merge the cells in column 1 here, so you see that is merged together as a single cell. That'll become my table header, and then everything else I have just as individual cells. Real clean. There's no other information on here. I don't have any border formatting or anything that I have to worry about, so real nice, clean table. All right, so that's the Excel spreadsheet portion here. In AutoCAD now, the process that we're going to follow is the first step is we create what's called a data link, and there's a utility called the Data Link Manager. The example on the right there is what the manager looks like, and it'll have a listing of all the data links, and then there's a command here. You click on this option here to create a new data link. When you create a data link, you get this dialog, and it does have one of those little circle buttons with the left-right arrow that you can minimize and maximize the width of this dialog. And I've got it expanded all the way here because what I want to point out is just some of the options that we're going to get when we create the link. So the first thing that we would do is specify the file, pretty straightforward, and then you tell what you want to link to in the file, and you can either select workbook tabs, the entire sheet, you can select named ranges, or down at the bottom here you can specify a range using common nomenclature that you would in an Excel spreadsheet. An example they have is A:\M9, so that will go from column A to M, rows 1 through 9 is how you would put that in there. Down at the bottom there's a toggle to turn on and off the preview, and if you are linking to a very large spreadsheet like the one I had with all the control data in it, you want to toggle off the preview because that will improve the performance of how long it takes to generate that link. It seems to take a while for it to generate this preview image. On the right side is where we tell it how we want it to behave. All right, so as we link it to the spreadsheet, what I'm going to do is this third option here that converts everything to text. So it'll solve the formulas in Excel and it'll pass across just the text value. But if you want to see the formulas in your AutoCAD table, you can pick the first option here to tell it to keep the data formats and formulas. And then you'll actually see the A3 times B3 or whatever formulas that you would get in your Excel spreadsheet. That works real nice if you know you're going to detach or break the link between the table and the spreadsheet. Okay. Working my way down here, this option here, allow writing to source file. This will allow you to modify the data in the AutoCAD table and then save that back to the spreadsheet. So you kind of have to think about, as you're creating the link, how do you want it to behave? All right, I'm going to turn this option off in most cases because I want my spreadsheet to drive what I see in my AutoCAD drawing. I usually don't want to have people editing the drawing file. The idea is you give somebody who's not a CAD user access to the spreadsheet. They modify the data there. I can then update it in my AutoCAD drawing. Final option here, formatting, is we're going to start off using Excel formatting, and I want to toggle it on because one of the things that'll do is that'll copy in my merged cells. The only drawback to that is it also copies in my text formatting, and my AutoCAD drawing is based on feet and inches. My spreadsheet's based on dot and pixel text height and font height. So doesn't quite come across. So what I'm going to tell it to do is I usually pick this second option here to go ahead and start with the Excel formatting, so that way I get all my merged cells, but then don't update the formatting if I update my table. That way I can go in, I can modify the formatting, I can make sure it's using the right fonts, and it won't revert back to the original format whenever I update my data. So definitely want to use Excel formatting to get my merged cells, and then I'd say only create it with that, but then don't update. All right, so that's the Data Link Manager. Once I've developed my data link, I then use the table command to insert the table, and it's controlled by this second section here in this dialog, where instead of using from a blank table like we're used to using, we tell it to use a data link. Get my cursor here, and we then select the data link that we want to use. All right, and you see most of the other options are grayed out because it's going to be sized based on the data in the table. All right, so once you bring that in, one thing we're going to see is it copies the formatting, so your text is going to be real puny here. So I can't read that. So what I do is I select the table, right mouse click, and there'll be a command there to remove all property overrides. And this removes all of the cell formatting that came across from the Excel spreadsheet. All right. Once you do that, then you also need to resize the table because it has no idea how tall or wide to make it. And what I usually do is I grab the corner, bottom corner grip here on the right side, and then I'll stretch it back up to resize it to what I want to see. And then the final part is anytime I make changes to the spreadsheet in Excel and save it, when I open up this drawing or if I'm in this drawing, you will get a balloon notification in the bottom corner of your AutoCAD window. There's a little link icon in the status bar, and you get a little balloon. You just click on the link here, and it will then update your tables. All right, so that's the process of embedding and updating the table. Additionally, instead of going through all of those steps, if you select the range in your Excel spreadsheet and copy, and then go to the paste special command in AutoCAD, and you want to paste with a link, and you want to create AutoCAD entities, this will also create a linked table in AutoCAD. So it's kind of two ways to go about going through the data link manager tool and creating a link. Gives you a little bit more control over how it's going to behave, whether you're going to copy formatting and all those other aspects. But this will do all of those on the fly for you. So it gives you kind of two different options for doing that. All right. Once I have a table in my drawing, there's some options for editing it. And a couple things I'll point out today as I do my demonstration is if you select on a table, you're going to get these icons or glyphs adjacent to your crosshairs. The little chain links here indicate that this table is linked to a spreadsheet, and then the little padlock here indicates that these cells are locked and you cannot modify. All right, well, if you want to modify it, you select the cells that you want to modify, right-click, and then on your shortcut menu there's a locking option, and you can select Unlock. Okay, and just kind of be aware that if you do unlock a cell and you change it, if you ever update the table, it will overwrite any of the changes that you have done. So you kind of have to watch working with this, but we'll go ahead and show you that this can be done. If you've got your table set up to where you can modify the drawing file and update it back to the spreadsheet, what you can do is select any of the cells in the table, right mouse click, and there's a data links section here, and this is where I can tell it to update my table from the source file. If you've got updates toggled on, I can tell it to upload user changes directly to the back to the source file. In this example, I've got that turned off. You can edit the data link, which will bring up the data link manager, and I can change some of the properties. And then the fourth option there is open the data link file. So I can actually launch Microsoft Excel directly from my AutoCAD drawing, and it'll open up my linked spreadsheet. Okay, and then the fifth option there that we see is you can break the links by detaching it, and that will then leave you with a table in AutoCAD that's standalone, and it does not need the spreadsheet. All right, so let me finish the PowerPoint and jump back over now to AutoCAD. And I've got a drawing here. I've already created one link in here to the spreadsheet that we were looking at. So we've got the material table spreadsheet. So I've already got one link to this. And we'll go ahead and minimize that again. I'll show you how that was created. And we'll create almost an identical link. And the thing we'll see is that as we update, both tables will update and maintain the link. All right, I'm going to start off, I'm using the ribbon panel for this, so I've clicked on the little minimize panel button here so I keep my panel expanded, and I'm on the Annotate tab, and I'm over here on the Tables panel. All right, so everything I'll be doing is off the Tables panel, and there's three buttons here that are used with the data linking here. So let me just hover on these so we can see the tooltip. And the first one is the data link command. That's where you actually create your data links. And then this button will update my tables from the source, and the second button over here, or I guess the third button in the row here, is upload. So if I modify my table in the drawing, I can upload the data back to the spreadsheet. Okay, the fourth button over here is an extraction tool, and it allows you to extract attribute and block and entity data from your drawing, combine it with a spreadsheet, and then generate a table, or actually generate another external data file. Don't have time to show this one today. It may be something that we do in a future webinar, but right now just kind of let you know that that is there. All right, well, I'm going to start off with the data link command. And you'll see I've got my material table, data link that's controlling this table. I'm going to create a new one. So I'll click on create a new link, and we'll just call it my link. We'll give it that name. All right, and that'll bring up then our new link dialog here. So I need to browse for a file. So we'll go ahead and hit the ellipsis button here. And I don't want that one because that one I know will take too long to open. So I am in my project, go documents, I got some estimates, and there's my material table. So we'll go ahead and open that up. All right, so now that I've got the table linked, it's kind of like an XREF here. How do you want to store the path? All right, if you know you're going to be moving these files around, giving them to somebody else, you may want to put the spreadsheet in the same folder as the drawing file, and then you can either go no path or relative path. Right? Since this is in a unique location, I'm going to go ahead and leave this one set to full path. And then in the spreadsheet, I have several tabs in the spreadsheet, so I'm going to make sure I'm using the first tab here, or I can specify a range or a named range. But in this case, I know we saw in that spreadsheet I only had the information that I want in my drawing in that tab there. So we're going to use the material table tab. All right, I've got preview turned off because it's kind of slow, but let's go ahead and turn that on, and we'll see, it takes a few seconds here for it to go through and calculate and show me here's what that table will look like. Okay, so a lot faster with preview turned off. Here's that little expand option here. So I want to expand that so I can see the rest of my dialog here. And cell contents, I'm going to go ahead and convert it to text. All right, and then I'm going to leave turned on the allow writing to source file option, so we'll be able to modify the table in the drawing and then save the changes back to the spreadsheet. I'm going to start off by using Excel formatting, and the only reason I'm doing that is I found that if I turn this off, I don't get the merged cells. I will get whatever was in the merged cell in the first cell of that grouping. So I want my merged cells, I'll turn that on, but I know I'm going to remove the formatting, so I only want to start with it and then don't update. All right, so I'll pick OK to that, and I've now got a link called my link. We'll pick OK. So that's step one. Step two is come back up to my toolbar here, my ribbon, and I'm going to select the table command. And I'm going to start off by selecting, I've got a style I've already created called material table, so I get my nice headers. I'm going to start with that, and then I'm going to pick on the data link option, and then I just need to select one of the data links I've created here. So here's the one I just created, my link. We'll pick OK. That's what it'll look like. I'll pick OK here, and then we'll just insert it right there. All right, so you can see first time in, copied the formatting. I can't read that. If I zoom in, I can kind of read it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the table, right mouse click, and I'm going to tell it to remove all property overrides. It will then use the table style, that material table style, and it will apply that information. And you can see again, my table's too narrow, so I'm going to come down here, pick the bottom right grip, and then I'm just going to drag it up and zoom in a little bit here so we can see, and I can make that a little narrower. There we go, that looks good. So I'll hit escape, and I now have my table. The text it is using is coming from Excel. I have to actually edit the individual mtext objects to go through and modify that. So if I want to make this using the simplex one, first off you'll see that it's locked. So hopefully everybody can see that little padlock icon on there. I'll right click and I'll come to locking and I'll say, well, unlock that cell. So now if I hover on that one, you see the lock is gone. I can now double click on it and I can come in here and I can say, do I have my remove formatting on here? Nope, I don't. Oh, I guess my font is using an Arial, so I guess we're okay with that. But if I update this table now, that A will change back to the Excel format. Right. If you have a large table and you want to remove text formatting, there is a list routine in the Nolte list library off of NTools. Let me bring that over here. And it's down here under tables, and there's a command here called table edit, and it has a command that gets loaded called TED, and that'll go through and that will remove all of the M-text formatting off of a table. But to do that with one of these pasted or linked tables, I have to come in here and I have to come in and do the locking command and tell it to unlock them all. Okay, so make sure I can modify those. All right, well, I'm not going to do that just yet. All right, so we've got our table in. Other things I can do with tables, maybe I want to make my total column here look a little prettier, so I can come in here and change the cell style. I've got a style called total. I can change all that, and my total style just adds in the double line, so I get a nice delineator in there. So I can modify the cell styles, the cell ranges. I just can't modify any of the data because it's locked and it's linked to that external spreadsheet. All right, so editing data, let's see. I'll come in, I'll change the quantity of item A. So let me bring up my table here. So you can see I've got 500 units. Say we really need a bunch more. Let's go to 1,000. And we'll save that. And I'll go ahead and close this down for now. I don't need that. And I'll close this one also. So I got all my Excels closed. And what happens is AutoCAD, just like an external reference or a data reference, data link in Civil 3D, it's going to recognize that something has changed. So it's going to ask me, do I want to update all my tables? I'll go ahead and click on that. And what you'll see is it'll process both tables will update. And it told me that cell was locked. There we go. So now both tables, this value has changed to 1,000 and 1,000, and then my cost has been recalculated in my spreadsheet, and that value has been updated in my table. Okay, so that is kind of in a nutshell how the table linking process works here. All right. To go the other way. All right, let me pick on my table here. Actually, let me just pick on one of the cells so I get the right menu here. I'm going to go to Data Links, and I'm going to edit my data link here just to refresh how we set this up. All right, I've told this link to allow me to write back to the source file, which is what I want to have. So we'll come in here, and I'm going to right-click on this cell, and again, I want to make sure it's unlocked. And then we'll come in and I'll edit my text and change that back to, 1,000 was a typo, it's only supposed to be 10. Okay, so my CAD person edits it here. I can then select it, right click. Okay, I don't have my data, I have to actually pick on one of the cells, sorry about that. Right click, there's my data links. And I'm going to tell it to upload user changes back to the source file. So we'll click on that and we'll see it'll process. It updated my Excel table, but it also recognizes that I've got this other data link here with a change table, so I'll say yes, update. And what we'll see is the quantity in the table on the left will change from 1,000 to 10, and the cost will go from 2,000 to 200, okay, or 20,000 or whatever it was. All right, so that's how we can update back to the spreadsheet. And then to show you the changes in the spreadsheet, what I'll do is I'll select again any of the cells in the table here, right click, go to data link, and I'm going to say we'll open up the file from the data link, and that'll actually open it up in Microsoft Excel. And let me do the old minimize trick there, and there we can see that that value has actually been changed to 10. Okay, go ahead and close that down again. So kind of that's really about everything I wanted to show you right now. So not quite a half hour, but about what I thought it would be. Hopefully a valuable tool. I know in the past we would do stuff in spreadsheets, paste it into the drawing, but then if things change, you'd have to go back, edit the spreadsheet, edit the drawing, and this just allows you to keep it dynamically linked so we can edit in a single location. All right, any questions from anybody? I'm looking right now at the question panel, and it is blank, so this is such an easy concept, and I did such a wonderful job just demonstrating it that you all have it figured out. All right, and the question. All right, see here. Looks like Michael Poole is asking, does it work with both XLS and XLSX files. So let me verify that. That's one I have not looked at. So let me look at the data link here, and I'll create a new one. What is it? XLSX, just in case. And the quick way to test this is when it pops up is what can I browse for, and I'll see right there that I am getting the XLSX, so I will answer yes to that it will work with both files. And actually, if I look at it here, my material table is an XLSX. I wasn't even paying attention. Other files I have linked have been XLS, so yes, very good question. Thank you. Second part of that, can the link file be open if you're making edits? Okay, there's going to be a problem. He asks can the link file, if I have this open and yet I come in here and unlock a cell and then I try to edit this one, we'll change it to 2, 3, 4. So I've modified that. If I try now, I've got to pick on a cell and I try to update user changes to source file. So this is to his question. All right, it's going to try to override it, and because I have it open, you're going to get this error that, hey, this table already exists here. So what it's really doing is they're opening it up in the background, modifying it, and then trying to save it. If I've got that file open, I can't save it. So let's try to save it. Yes. Okay, but then if I come in and look at it, you'll see, hey, I've got 2 versions of it now. It didn't save, so now when I save this one, and close this out. Okay, it's going to show me they're changed, and it's going to be last saved wins. So as we go through and update the tables, you can see it's changed back to 100. So I can modify it, but you're just going to watch if somebody has the spreadsheet open and they save it, they will overwrite any changes that you had made previously. Okay, so hopefully that answers those questions. Another question regarding renaming the Excel file. Okay, if you rename the file, you will break the link. All right, and so let me come back in here and data links. So let's edit my data link. Okay, I should be able to come in here and browse to a new file name. Okay, so but this I haven't tried this yet, but we can, we can give that a shot here. So let's go in. And we'll just do this. We'll say copy here. We'll just leave it as copy of material table. I should be able to come in, browse, say, use this version instead. Pick OK. It will then update. All right, so it should now be using that version of the table. Just to verify, we'll say open the data link file. And the one we are getting is the copy, so it is maintaining a link. So if you do rename it, you go back in, you edit the data link, you browse to the new file path. All right, so again, very good question. Definitely not the things I think of when I'm putting together these presentations, so I do appreciate that. And I see no other questions. We'll leave it open for another 30 seconds, so type fast if you got them. And I'm not seeing anything coming in, so I will assume that everything's been answered. I will thank you all for attending today's session. I look forward to doing this again. To let you know, future sessions, I'm out most of September, so starting September 30th, which is a Wednesday, I'm going to start doing a series on Civil 3D Introduction for those of you who'd like to start getting exposed to the functionality of Civil 3D. That's going to start on September 30th, and then every other week I will do follow-up sessions on additional portions of that presentation, and information on that is available through the CAD forum webpage in the announcements section. There's links to register and sign up for those. So again, thank you everybody, and have yourself a fine day.